Hello and welcome, Internet. I'm Gladiator, and I'm joined here today with Black Templar, and we are doing the season or semifinals for season 8, the analysis of it.
Yep.
We're going to take a look at
And
the first round's games and see how they played out, and we're going to have our predictions for the semifinals.
yep. It's been a very interesting run. A little bit lackluster, not like the blood and fun of last season's finals, but it's been quite a close knit one, I would say, this time around.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. I do say that most of these matches were actually really close. There's a lot of decisions that could have been a do or die situation for the teams to win or lose.
Oh yeah. Could have gone either way, but the problem is that's the downside to it's like if you if you make one mistake, one blunder, that's it, you've lost, you lose it all, you know what I mean?
Exactly. The playoffs have always been a tight knit type of game. Sometimes you might get the blowouts every once in a while, but these decisions that are made in these games, like you said, can make or break games. And I can just tell you this: my game against Scythe had the really closeness of decisions on the first half. If it wasn't for that decision, things would be different. Same goes for that game between Caveman and Malt. We'll definitely dive in deeper. I'm just trying to give everyone a bit of a taste of the games. But there was a couple big decisions with that game that could have made or break on reason why Caveman lost or won, and the reason why Malt won. Heck, kind of similar to, I feel like that the Orcs could have won that game as well against the humans. Same with the Lizardmen. But we'll break it down. We'll break it down.
Hmm.
But which matches
Yeah.
have you seen? I've seen almost all of these, at least most of all of them.
I've seen the caveman match. I've seen the lizard match, and I did get to see your match
Scythe.
against Scythe. But as far as the Reichland one, I did see a little bit, but I did see all of it because unfortunately I had to other issues. But
Well,
as far as we can go on this, I'm gonna be honest. Should we start with the first one, the Cursed Suffering versus
how not to contain lizards?
the Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, we can start with that since that is the first match to be looking at. Might as well. So, in this match, attrition was the issue. There's a bunch of other different things that we'll dive in deep on reason why Joe probably lost his match, but we can definitely say that the Bull Centaurs were definitely MVPs of this match, and it shows it.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the Bull Centaurs really helped a lot for Roger, but we gotta look at the point here. This match was not going to be easy, no matter what was gonna happen in this match, because thanks to the tackle of the dwarves, it kind of nulled out all of Pirate Joe's dodging ability.
Exactly. The tackles, the mighty blow, the guard, kind of negated everything that Joe had. If we looked, say for example, you were in the match, your dodges will be a lot more annoying to Joe than all the block that the Chaos Dwarfs have. Because let's be honest, the Lizardmen, their team is essentially grab the ball with the Skinks, protect with the Lizardmen, and then run down the pitch as fast as you can. Issue is, with the Bull Centaurs, they can always chase them down because they essentially have 9 movement with their sure feet sprint starting in. But like, just to break down the team, I'm gonna say this and say this now. The reason why Joe lost is because the lack of damage he can deal to the dwarves. He only has like 2 mighty blow pieces. Yeah, he has 2 mighty blow pieces. He has the Croxigore, which doesn't have block. He has guard, and he has the Saurus with block and mighty blow. That's 2 pieces out of the rest of his team, and a lot of his skinks, they're not going to survive any punches from a dwarf. And probably the other biggest thing is, since he got doubles, he put a lot of dodge into his Saurus. Since he's fought dwarves, which already has a lot of tackle, that dodge is negated. So half of his level up, so half of his SPP is essentially gone.
Mm-hmm.
And all. Go ahead.
It is a big loss, but at the same time, you have to look at it this way. I mean, I have to admit that this matchup was not one of his better matchups, I would say. And to be honest, the only way he could have won that match, or Joe could have bagged it, is by taking out the Bull Centaurs, because Dwarves were never a threat. It was those two Bull Centaurs, because they just dominated the game.
Oh yeah, by far. I will say that positioning is always the issue when it comes to these type of matches. Lizardmen, once they get marked, it's hard for them to move, and especially since there's so much tackle to negate that dodge. I mean, there's 6 Chaos Dwarves. There's 6 Lizardmen, besides the Croxagore. They're going to be marked nearly all the time by these blockers. And that's another thing that really hurted Joe. With the Hobgoblins able to be distractions and the Bull Centaurs not even needing them, it's essentially really easy for Roger to take out any Lizardmen, especially Skinks.
Agreed. But that's the thing. It's one of those matches where relying heavily on the big guys doing stuff, but unfortunately, Bull Centaurs being as strong as they are, it's one of those things that I have to say that those should have focused more on getting either pinning them with a Saurus or trying to kill them.
It's easier said than done. It's kind of hard to fight a strength 5 Bull Centaur with a lot of guard around him.
It is, but in the end, you're gonna have to either outpace him or outsmart him. And fortunately for Joe, it just none of it works for him.
And I mean, the dice rolls looking on average, there was a lot of ones, but at the same time, he had a lot of 4s and 5s. And 4s and 5s and up is always a success for Lizardman. However, his armor was garbage. Now we don't know how. I don't remember how many Skinks went down, but I remember there being still a couple at the end of the game. So overall, the armor was trash. And granted, there was a claw piece that helped out Roger Death in this game as well, and that was another deciding factor. And the Bonehead was garbage for Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, his GFIs were below average as well. Oh wait, this is not. That was not Joe. That was just Roger. Roger's GFIs was actually below average, but I'm pretty sure that was a sure feat. Bull Centaurs that actually made those failures a success. And his armor was above average. Pickup rate was above average. I mean, Joe's pickup rate was way below average. But at the same time, there is an Agi 4 Hobgoblin. And I think there's another Hobgoblin with sure hands. Which I think the Bull Centaurs the ones to pick up the ball though too.
Oh yeah. But that's the thing though. I just don't really feel that this matchup was kind of against Joe, but at the same time, you have to face these teams eventually because, yes, the Dwarves would have been a very hard counter to his, all these dodging shenanigans. Mm-hmm. When you have a Bull Centaur as strong as that, it's like, yeah, it's going to be very hard to shift. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be definitely difficult to... It's going to be difficult to move this line, period. So when you know that this line's going to be difficult, you got to try to minimize the amount of touching you do to the Dwarves. So that means you got to be playing strategically and placing your people in the areas that they're needed. You know that he's going to try to go around, attack your ball carrier. That's how it is for almost any team that is an Agi-based team. When you play an Agi-based, even though that you're a Bash team, it's a lot more difficult. You have the speed with your Skinks, but the positioning can be the sacrifice of make or break the team. Now, I did see a few chances that Joe could have made a tie, and unfortunately he didn't get the rolls for it. But at the same time, Roger made it very difficult for him to do so. So we got to give credits to Roger for playing how he did. He played the game well. Joe didn't play bad. Like he was saying that he was in the game. Heck, we all say that we're the worst or blah 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 blah. We can't win this game. But at the same time, you try to win and then somehow you do it. And then that's the funny thing about it. Eventually you can overcome these situations. If you're a good coach and you have bad knuckling, it happens. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. In this game, in the circumstances, he lost. And it didn't help that he already fought Roger the week before in week 15. It's just with the computer failures of yours and the success of Roger in this placement, he was next up on the leaderboard to be able to take your position. Now, let's speak hypothetically here. Let's say that Joe did fight you. What's the differences in the fighting? Well, number one, you don't have as nowhere near as guard and strength as he does. But number two, you have way more players than Roger Death. You have so many goblins, and you'd be finally living crap out any lizardman. So if, say for example, you bring down a lizard, which is very possible with your block troll with claws, you're gonna be finally living crap whoever you punch.
Yeah, and plus that as well, I have advantage over like the fact I've got a very strong like kill piece where, unfortunately, he doesn't, and that's something that Joe would always struggle against. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Joe doesn't have a real dedicated kill piece. He has a mighty blow piece, which I guess that would be technically his kill piece, but at the same time, so is your Croxicore. So that was his biggest kill piece, is a block Saurus, which he does have a level up now after the game, just letting everyone know. But that's his only kill piece. It's not no tackle piece. It's not no strip ball piece. It's just mighty blow, which is good and dandy when you're like maybe 6 games in. But when you're at this level, granted, to be fair, it can be difficult to level up Lizardman. You usually go with block first, which he went with dodge on most of his players, and then you go mighty blow, and then if you get a third level, you get tackle. But since he has a bunch of dodge, I would not have gone this much dodge. I would have gotten some guard. I would have made my team a lot more varied instead of having dodge block, because again, the Chaos Dwarfs or any dwarves can just counter you, and those level ups are negated.
Yep.
But any other opinions you have on this game that we want to talk about?
Not really. I think we covered everything here. But to be honest, I kind of feel that also we have to cover one thing about. I don't like covering about people's conduct, but I can understand Joe's frustration with the whole thing, which I could understand him being a bit angry about it. Which
I can understand.
I don't
too.
blame him.
We all go through those situations where the game is just screwing you. Like there's nothing you can do. I mean, it happened to me when I was playing the high elves against you. There's nothing I could have done that game, but I tried my best to do what I can. At the end of the day, I lost. You had the dice, and it is what it is. You played the best that you can with what you are given. When you're down 5 people and you only got 4 people left, or you know what I mean, 7, whatever it is, it's 11 players on the pitch. If you're down 5 people, it's going to be difficult for you to be able to win the game regardless, because you're down so many people, even if you are elves. So it is what it is. You just gotta take the punches and keep on rolling. That will make or break really good coaches.
Oh yeah.
But either way, good job to both of you. I still say that both of you play very solidly. I will say, Joe, once you got angry and irritated with the game, you kind of gave up. You probably don't care at this point because I saw the match. You got a little irritated at the end, which I understand. Like I said, not calling you out or anything. But if you do want to join back, you're more than welcome to. We'll have a conversation and we'll get everything sorted out. Just letting you know if you do watch this video. Either way, let's move on to the next one, and we'll talk about the semifinals once we get done with it, with that game. So then we can talk about Roger and Malt. But either way, let's talk about Malt and the Leg Lickers, which is Caveman, in that match.
Yeah, that match was a very close-knit match. That could have gone either way. Match.
That was a classic match to watch. Both coaches were very tactical with their playing. Neither coach should be feeling sad after a game they played after that. That was really close, really nice to watch, really fun to watch. It could have gone either way, even with the opponent on the opposite side of the pitch.
Could have gone either way, but I kind of feel also that, it came down to whoever blinked or made the first mistake. I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah, whoever made mistakes, the other one executed, and that's who won the game. For my observations of how the ball was handled, well, I'm comparing the first half with the second half because that's kind of like who had the ball and who didn't. Malt showed his veterancy on how to play Blood Bowl in the second half. Don't get me wrong, Caveman tried his best, and he did very well for what he could do. But the positioning of the Norse for the second half was the make or break thing, and Malt was able to sustain his position fairly decent, even though the Amazons were able to try to come in and mess things up. If one Amazon got the ball and ran out, that could have been game, but unfortunately, that did not happen.
No, and also the thing is, though, I mean, the downside to when it's a match between, a dodgy team versus a non-dodgy team, attrition was going to have to play a factor, and a point in the match where attrition was starting to show its ugly head.
I will say that attrition showed up in the first half, and attrition showed up in the second half. Do I say that it was very consistent and more sustained between the teams? I say it was actually pretty even. I mean, if we look at the KOs and the casualties inflicted here, the Amazon sustained 6 KOs and 1 casualty. The Godlike Puns, which is Malt, sustained 4 KOs and 2 casualties. The 2 casualties that was sustained took out the Yeti in the first half. They used Apothecary to bring it back. And he sustained I can't remember what was the other one, but the Yeti in the first half being removed was big. If Caveman got a touchdown in that first half, we would have went into overtime.
Oh, yeah.
But, just the positioning. Malt's always been really good with his positioning. He looks at the map and sees what's the best thing for him to try to do. What's the least risky thing? He's a really good player. He's a good coach. And that's just it has to be said. Like, and don't get me wrong, Caveman, he played very well too. A lot of things Malt was calling out on his stream, Caveman kind of did, or even surprised Malt with some situations, and was successful.
Oh yeah, that's the thing though. When you're facing against Malt, I don't care what anyone says. When you're facing against Malt, you have to be prepared. Play a game of like 4D chess with him. You have to. You can't play at normal tactics. You're gonna have to outwit him.
Exactly, unless you're Treatment and a Skeletons and you have a race instead.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the matches Malt did lose, it was either through attrition, not through skill. But in this match, it was pretty even. It was a game of who had the better set of tactics, and actually Malt had the better set of tactics.
Indeed. I mean, his losses were... Let's see. He lost against the Dwarfs, which had better armor and has a death roller and whatnot. He lost against you, actually.
Yep. But that was just because I out-attritioned him big time.
He lost against someone else. There was 4 losses there.
Yeah, I think he lost to it was the Mini Son of Anarchy. I think he lost to.
Well, that was one. You were the second one. It said he had 4 losses.
He lost. What did he lose? Trying to think.
He had some ties.
Oh, ties.
Oh, he lost against Fluffy Green. That was attrition.
Yep.
So that was 3.
Oh, that was not a match. That was just a bloodbath.
Yes, it was. Yeah, we found it. We found us one. We got you. We saw you.
We got just went, don't we?
But yeah,
what was the 4th one?
I don't know. He might have did it like a private match or something.
Probably. I just could not figure who he lost to. But thing is, though, that's a good thing for Malt. But I do have to say about Malt, though, he really needs to spend his money. He cannot have 222.
Oh, he's going to. When he was talking in stream, he was definitely going to. He's probably going to fire this lineman and hire another one to bring down this team value. From the money-wise, it's still going to increase it some, but at least he won't have floating money against Roger.
Yeah, which when we'll talk about that later, that match might get to a right filibuster of a fight.
Oh yeah, that match between Malt and Roger, that's going to be something we're definitely going to dive in deep to figure out. But
yeah.
yeah, the match between Caveman and Malt is just a classic. You need to watch it. Check it out on Caveman's. I don't know. Caveman didn't. I don't think he streamed or recorded it, but Malt, you can check it out on his Twitch. I don't know how long his recordings last. Hopefully he will upload it to his YouTube channel, which usually he does. So eventually check it out. It's a classic to watch. Anything else you want to say about that match?
Really, this was a good match. I do recommend people watch this match. This was a match against two players. This is what happens when Blood Bowl is played by higher level players.
Exactly. I mean, our playoffs usually tend to have these games that are played very, very well.
But also, something batshit insane happens, which cough me and King had a while ago.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. But let's move on to Reichland All Elite versus Fluffy Green, where the Orcs definitely do not agree with their name. But the humans were able to sneak the victory here. And, I mean, the statistics show that Fluffy Green had the possession of the ball most of the time. It's just they couldn't go down the field as easily as they wanted to.
No, but unfortunately for Swen, that steal by the Reichland Raiders was pretty much the death blow, I felt.
Yep. I will say, when Swin fought against me, he was fighting against an Agi team. He was definitely focused on making sure that I don't go down the pitch. He didn't do that against Reichland on Elite. And I think that's what really hurt him with sustaining his victory.
Yeah.
He wasn't spread out when the defense against the humans to be able to run down the pitch. Humans are great at running the ball, passing the ball. Not as great as elves, but they're still very, very good at moving the ball down the pitch. And having, especially with your team being fairly slow, you have to position your players according to how you're fighting it, or how you're fighting a team. The Orcs are a great team. The humans are a great team. The Orcs are actually surprisingly a decent team to be passing with as well, because they're blitzers and they're throwers. But yeah, I mean, there's some big casualties sustained for the Reichland All Elite for the next match. They lost an Ogre in this match. They didn't lose it, but he's missing next game.
And that's a big loss because I don't care what you say, losing a big guy in the playoffs is the worst thing that could happen.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be difficult. I mean, in block dice and regular dice, like if we take a look at regular dice, the humans had pretty decent dice overall. He had a lot of 2s, but at the same time 3 and up, there's a lot. So Reichland All Elite had decent dice in that regard, and really good dice for blocks. The Orcs didn't as much.
Well, to be fair, I mean, this is the downside when you're facing, like I said, a human team that's a bit well-rounded as the way the Reichland All Elite are. The only downside I see of this team is without the big guy to hold the line, it's going to have to really rely on players like Punk and them to.
Well, the Ogre was in this match. The Ogre was in this match. It's just it was removed during the match.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I'll reiterate what I said. I mean, it's next match he's going to have to worry about.
Yes. The Ogre won't be able to hold the line as he won't be there. It will have to be the other linemen and humans. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I will say that the dice overall was more sided for the humans than it was the Orcs. The Orcs had worse dice rolling and worse dice punching.
This is the thing with the playoffs is sometimes it just Nuffle might get involved and just a few things, which it's doing this game.
It happens to everyone where Nuffle will come in and say, hey, you're going to lose this match. Only thing you can do is try your best. And you're still probably going to fail at it. So, there's only so much you can do. I will say that your armor was really good. Your pickups were amazing, Swin. You're really stupid was really stupid. Pun intended.
Yeah.
But, wow. And the Dauntless was always success for the humans. That's actually kind of insane. Granted, it was against mostly strength 4 pieces. So it's kind of to be expected. It's like a 67% chance to succeed in that regard.
But yeah.
But
I'll be honest. I mean, like I said, Sven did everything all right. It's just things just didn't go his way.
And probably another big deciding factor is the dodges. Reichland All Elite took some things from the elves about dodging and was 100% successful out of 15 chances. That's insane.
That is insane, and that's gonna be interesting when we talk about his say final match, which will be a quite interesting thing.
But yeah, this game was just a typical orc versus human match where, like I said, I say the biggest downside for this match for the orcs was their positioning on when the Ragnar League got the ball. I say that was the do or die situation.
Considering the fact that once we get to the Blood Bowl 3, whenever that comes out, the orcs will have a radical reshift and radical shift in tactics.
I believe that they're still going to sustain their bashiness. Their ball carrying is probably still going to stay near the same because the thrower's going to pick it up, run down the pitch, maybe hand off to a blitzer if they can. But it's just now they have to worry about animosity.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, this is why I feel like this is orcs. In my view, the orcs are at their peak now in Blood Bowl 2, but once Blood Bowl 3 comes out, the orcs are really going to start suffering a lot of problems.
Yep. But we'll definitely see. Hopefully we'll see Swin get a challenge in his upcoming season, because the orcs were definitely not fluffy. They did a lot of punching.
Yeah, and plus that as well. I mean, Sven, you better decide who you're going to get next, because orcs are not coming back to you.
Nope, you can't play
probably
orcs.
Certain.
Either way.
Yeah.
Really good on Gal to win that match, and Swin, good luck next time, I guess. That's essentially how it is for losing the playoffs.
Yep.
Let's move
Should
on.
we move on to the your match?
Yes, indeed. I have a lot to say about this match, or at least a little bit.
Yeah. And to be honest, for those who are unaware, switchovers that we're talking about earlier in the video was because of my computer issues. Was that Scythe took my place to face you in the match.
Yep.
To be honest, it was quite a good match. It was just your eventual dodginess finally gave over to poor undead slowness.
Yeah, the slowness of the undead affected the match, but at the same time, like, I would say the real big factor of this match was the first half.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, like, the undead was closed up, centered really decently. They were near getting a touchdown. Heck, I'm surprised that Scythe didn't try to get a touchdown when he could have. If he did that and I got the ball back, I had a chance to get a touchdown again, but it'd be a lot more difficult because Scythe could be defending differently. But since he stalled it for a little bit longer, which stalling is a strategy that can be done effectively, I think he was just trying to take on L's, which, in all respect, that's fair. But since he stalled, it gave me an opportunity to be able to jump in and take down the ball, and I got lucky and it went to one of my catchers. And Nerves of Steel kicks in. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for me not to catch it. But I mean, overall, I was suffering a lot of attrition. I was even saying GG turn 3. I lost so many players in that first half, man.
Oh yeah. You still hold your ground and made it.
I was able to hold my ground, even though Scythe could have gotten a touchdown. But I had to make a play, and luckily Nuffle was on my side, and I made the play. Thank goodness I have four decent players. Not anymore. One player is technically... I'm not firing him. Mainly because of the MVP stuff. And plus, he'd be a good player to have with Blodge for the next match, even though he's armor value 6. Still really decent to have. But, I mean, if we take a look at the SPP, you see there's a lot of injuries inflicted to my team. D-Day was one of them. Heck, there's 4 injuries that I sustained, I believe, in that match. 4 real injuries, I should say. Let's see. Yeah, 4 injuries inflicted, and I inflicted 2. I was able to kill a ghoul. I was surprised to do that.
Oh yeah. That's something that you could catch off guard.
Oh yeah, especially with elves. Oh, you killed something. Oh wait, I did? I didn't know I could do that. But looking at dice overall, anything 2 up is really good for elves. Ones I had 21 ones, which is I'm happy with that. Like 2 ups is really good. I mean, there were some leaps that it's 3 ups, but I mean, essentially anything 2 and up is good for elves. And I actually had a lot of 2s. 38 2s. Wow, if I was a regular team, that would be very, very bad. But since I'm elves and have a lot of aggro, that's not bad. But decent GFIs, really good pickups. Passes were okay, and my dodges were pretty decent. Sort of. Yeah, they're not bad. KOs were okay, casualties were garbage. Leaps were great, and that's all for that one. What about my block dice? Block dice was actually really, really good. Only 5 skulls. Well, we take a look at Scythe. His dice overall is actually pretty decent too. He had a lot of 2s as well, but he had a lot of 3 and up. He had 16 sixes. Yeah, sixes. His GFIs were great too. He had 10 GFIs, and all of them were successful. His armor was kind of garbage, but at the same time, I was targeting ghouls and doing what I can. But he was able to sustain a lot of stuff. Just because these armors are not that great doesn't mean they weren't that bad either. His block dice were amazing. He only had 10 skulls, a lot of both downs. Granted, stumbles on my good players don't matter as much, but he had 2 tackle pieces, I believe. So, yeah. I'd definitely say that the first half of this match was very worthwhile to watch. The second half, both teams did score, but I will say once the Undead scored, the game was kind of already over at that point. But definitely watch the first half. That was the make or break decision on breaking through that cage and catching the ball and moving out. I got really lucky with that. If I failed any of that, I probably would have lost that match.
Yeah, if you failed any of that, you would have lost the match, but you held on long enough, and you've made it through.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say? I really did most of the talking in this match.
Not really. I think you've pretty much covered everything that was needed to say, because, to be honest, that's the way the match all went about.
Yeah, I played it, so I definitely knew about it. It's kind of to be expected, I guess. Either way, so that was the analysis for round 1. I guess let's do the predictions for the semifinals.
Yep.
So I guess we'll.
Ooh, it's gonna be interesting. I would say the big match. I would say it's gonna be big matches, but I think the first match is going to be a classic slobber knocker.
Oh yeah. I will say that this match between Roger and Malt is the classic. These guys are very, very brutish. Can you survive long enough, or can you do enough damage to the brutes to actually win? Malt's a very tactical coach. Roger loves killing. And
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Go ahead.
This match is gonna go down to 2 factors: attrition, or Malt's side.
Yep.
And for Roger's side, it's the claws. Will the claws from the Yeti have any profound effect?
That is a great question. I will say this as well. For key players, definitely the Bull Centaurs, and any Mighty Blow pieces for the Dwarves. Of course, Guard is also a factor, but there's also a Fouling Hobgoblin to worry about. If a very valuable piece goes down, there's an opportunity for a Hobgoblin to say, "Yeah, look at that, play on the ground, kick." Oh, he's out. His head's gone. He's dead.
Oh yeah.
But I think Malt has another dirty player as well. He does.
Yeah.
So there's 2 Fowlers on this game.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I feel this matchup is going to be a slobber knocker. Don't expect like fancy footwork or fancy passing or all that jazz. This is going to be a old-fashioned fisticuffs. Let the fists fly and see who survives the punches.
A couple more deciding factors is there is going to be a lot of petty cash in this game. We got Malt sitting at 1,700. Granted, some of it's going to go down when he removes this guy and get another player. He's going to reduce his cash. I know Malt. He might cut off some fat. I don't know what he's going to cut, but he might cut off some fat. Which he doesn't really have too much fat, except just a lot of players. But at the same time, you kind of want to have a lot of players because you're going to be fighting these dwarves, and you're going to be losing players left and right because you have armor value 7.
Yeah. That is a big thing, but I feel also part of it as well is, like I said, attrition's going to be playing the biggest factor for, for both, because we all know with the Norse team, Norse have a very bit of a nasty habit of having poor attrition.
Yes, that's always been an issue for Norse. Granted, Malt is a really good coach. He knows his positioning, and I will definitely say that is another deciding factor of this match. Malt is going to try to outposition Roger. Roger's positioning is not his strongest suit. That's been proven in the past. He does really decent. He's definitely improved over the seasons, but I will say that Malt is a little more advanced when it comes to positioning. This will decide definitely on how great Roger can be. If he can beat Malt, he's going to go to the finals, and that's going to be the furthest he's ever been per round. Like, if we say last few seasons or whatever, he got to round 2, we had more players at that point, so it was not semifinals. So technically, this is the furthest he's been in semifinals. But
Yeah.
you can't really blame luck if you lose this match because, I mean, you still can depending on how badly Nuffled you get, but you can't really say that Nuffle is a huge deciding factor when you beat the first seed, which granted, let's be honest, you kind of countered them.
Yep.
But at the same time, teams that counter you will make or break on how great you are as well. It will show how great you are. If you can beat a counter team, then boom, that's even better for you. However, I will say that Malt is probably more at the disadvantage against you, Roger, even though he has more team value.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it is going to come down to, like I said, either the claws, do they go either to start hacking dwarfs to pieces, or will it come down to attrition?
I will say it's going to eventually come down to attrition. I feel like this is my prediction, alright? So knowing both players, I feel like Malt is going to try to keep his Yeti fairly safe, but at the same time, putting his Yeti into different positions to utilize his guard, while at the same time trying to maximize the damage of the Yeti. Yeti is going to be played heavily in this match unless he fails everything, because he failed everything in the game before. He even stole MVP as being a failure. But the claws are going to be the biggest deciding factor for that team. Of course, positioning of the players. He has a very good runner. That's also the biggest target for the Norse team, is that runner. And the Bull Centaurs, of course, the claw piece right here is also really big targets. Any guard is also big targets. So in all reality, it's just like how well you defend yourself, Roger, against Malt's attack and defense. How do you go around Malt? How do you go through Malt? You can go through Malt pretty decently if you position your pieces correctly or intelligently. Sometimes you can't. You only have Agi 2.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes you can't, but like I said, you just gotta feel that this match will be one to watch. I feel if you love a good brawl, a good bash, this is the match to watch.
Indeed. Now I will say this: most matches that Malt did lose as Norse was against heavily bashy teams. He lost against the Orcs. He lost against we just went through this.
The
I
dwarves.
can't remember any of it. Yeah, dwarves. He lost against the Orcs and dwarves. Both of them are very bashy teams. And heck, the match. Oops. Let me go to the match between Roger and Malt before. Let's see. Let's just take a look. Where is it? There it is. 1-0. And this is just in the regular playoffs. There was a death sustained for the Cursed Suffering, which that sucks. And his armor breaks weren't as good. So, I mean, and that probably happened to do with some dice rolls. Let's see.
Yep.
Yeah, the dice was not in favor of Roger in this match. But at the same time, you kind of have to tank those blows and try to figure out what's the safest thing first, which that's always to be expected. You already know all this, Roger, if you so happen to watch this. But yeah, you gotta play better to be able to win.
So the only match he lost to wasn't the bash team, was me.
Yeah, you're the only real surprise victory against him. He beat me, barely, I think. I think it just came to some luck at that point as well, and attrition.
Oh, yeah.
But either way, who do you think is going to win this match? What do you think the score is going to be?
Ooh. I mean, this is going to be a full-on filibuster of a brawl. Like you said, Molt is a good tacticianist. He knows how to set up. I would say this one could go down to a very close 2-1 to Roger, but it will go to the playoffs.
So you think Roger's going to go to the finals?
Yep.
All right. I think Malt's going to win this game. The reason why is because I feel like that Malt's positioning is just like it just shows with his matches. Even with attrition, he knows how to try to sustain the amount that he needs to minimize the amount of movement that the enemy team can do. Even with all the strength that Roger has, he cannot dodge worth anything. I say that, but yet the Bull Centaurs have done that. Passes and everything. But I will say that Malt, he just has better positioning overall, and sometimes better luck. Usually when I fight him, he has better luck than me. But
Oh yeah.
I feel like that Malt's gonna win. It's gonna be a 2-1 victory. And it might go into overtime depending on how bad the attrition is. I will say there is probably going to be some heavy injured people, or a lot of injured people with minor injuries, and there might be a death. There probably guaranteed is going to be some deaths in this game.
Oh yeah.
But either way, good luck to you two. It's going to be a slobber knocker. I will say that. I will agree with Black with that. But let's move on to the next match between myself and the humans.
Yeah, this match is gonna come down to, my honest opinion, this match is gonna really boil down to speed. Because I'm not gonna be funny to you, Glau, but without your Ogre, you won't be able to secure that line. This is gonna come down to who's the better passer, who's the better dodger, who's the better trick plays. Strength is not going to be a big factor in this match.
I will say guarded will be, and so will Mighty Blow. He only has 2 tackle pieces, but at the same time, I only got 4 pieces to try to make sure they don't get touched. I'm kind of used to that at this point. I feel like I will be down players most of the game, but at the same time, he has only 11 players and no money. Our team value is going to be near the same. I am going to probably buy a thrower, and I do have some cash in the bank, and I have to level up my blitzer.
Yeah.
I am down my good thrower, but at the same time, let's be honest, the thrower's just meant to throw the ball. And any elf can technically really do that fairly decently. It's just throw has that reroll into it. The biggest deciding factor for this game is how well I can sustain any attrition.
That's true. True, but I kind of feel as well that, you know, yes, in your case, attrition, you don't have many skills on many of your plays, but the thing is, though, you don't need to. As long as your main 5 are healthy and well, they usually can turn the match on its head. I think this is going to come...
I'm out one of them.
But I do feel that this match will boil down to, in my honest opinion, you are right, attrition will play a factor, but I also believe as well that who's the better dodger?
That is true. When it comes to dodges, elves are usually better. They just have better agility. I don't have dodge, but I have 4 agility, so it's only 2+ to dodge. And when I have my other people, they all have blodge, so they're most likely to dodge. And the humans do not. They do have a lot. They have more skills spread out. But is that going to be the deciding factor or not? I mean, he only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 block pieces, 1 wrestle piece.
Oh yeah. It's going to be interesting how this whole thing progresses. But I do believe this match will be a very, very very fast-paced match. I don't expect too much punches.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe it will be a very high tempo speed match than a brawl match.
It's going to be a tactical positioning match. It's figuring out how players are going to go in and go out, how players are going to run down the pitch or not, and it's also definitely going to be a deciding factor for. I'd say the biggest deciding factor for this is not really who gets the ball first, but who can sustain the ball and also get to touchdowns more quickly. So it's more about ball positioning mainly.
Oh yeah.
Because, I mean, if we take a look at the previous match between me and Gal, I didn't sustain any injuries, and I was able to really run roughshod with the ball and make sure he did not have it. Yeah. Even when he did have it, I was able to keep him in play and then figure out how to get into the cage eventually.
Oh yeah.
But like you said, this is going to be a tactical match. Players, the amount of players could be a deciding factor. Like I said, there's only 11 players for this human team. When I buy a thrower, I'll have 12 players. Yeah, 12 players because I'm just down my other thrower. So I would not be fouling if I was the humans. If I'm the elf, since I am, depending on what I can bring down, I definitely might be doing some fouling myself because I have an extra player. So attrition could be a deciding factor as well. Just it really kind of depends on how the dice fly and how the game rolls.
Mm-hmm. It does depend on that. So it's just we're just gonna wait and see how this all progresses. You know what I mean?
Indeed, indeed, indeed. So with all that in mind, who do you think is going to take this victory, and who do you think is going to get to the playoffs, and is it going to go into overtime?
Well, given how close this match could be and the stakes and what the teams are looking like, I'm going to be honest, I think this will be and they'll be shocked at this, but I think it's going to be a 3-2 to Gal. I think Gal has enough just to squeak, but you'll give him a very hard test.
Oh yeah, I can probably agree to that. Me being biased, I'll say that I definitely want to win, but just by sheer looking at the teams, I do feel like Gal has technically the better team overall. Yes, I have very strong pieces, but if I lose any of those pieces, I'm going to have a tough time, or a tougher time. Let's be honest, I'm kind of used to this at that point. Almost every single game, I lose like 3 players at the first 3 turns. So I'm kind of used to being down players. But overall, for skills-wise, it's just way more varied here. If I do take down any strong pieces, it's going to kind of be taken over by another piece because it has similar skills. So yeah, I can agree. I can see Gal definitely taking the victory over me. I don't assume that I'll win, but like I said, I'm gonna try my best. I mean, heck, if it's anything like the Undead game where I just say GG turn 3 and still able to squeak out a victory, well, you never know.
Yeah, have to wait and see how it all
breaks down.
It all plays out between you two.
Indeed. Well, either way, that's all the matches for what we can really kind of predict until we go to the finals, which is TBA. To be announced. But either way, anything else you want to say before we end the stream, Black?
Not really. I think we've covered everything that we need to cover, and I wish all 4 of you guys luck in this in your matches, because it's going to be a hell of a show.
It's going to be a good couple classics to watch. I definitely say that the match between Malt and Roger is a must-see. And the match between me and the humans should be entertaining to watch, to see how it all unfolds. Will there be elf BS? Probably. Will there be any humans to do any damage to elves? Probably. Will there be elves killing someone? Probably not, but we all will have to find out and see. Either way, later.